A blown 19-point fourth quarter lead saw Arizona miss out on the postseason in 2018. But can they get there in 2019? Find out here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.
I was pretty disappointed in Arizona in 2018. The Wildcats brought in Kevin Sumlin, an offensive-minded coach from Texas A&M, and had one of the most dynamic dual-threat quarterbacks in the entire nation in Khalil Tate. But the Wildcats just went 5-7 and blew a 19-point lead to Arizona State to keep themselves out of the postseason. But I expect them to improve in 2019 if they can stay healthy. They do get Khalil Tate back at quarterback, but he has to stay healthy. He battled an injury for the majority of last season, which hindered his running ability. He did pretty decent through the air, but he was not as dynamic, not as much of a dual threat as he was in 2017. They also need to keep their running back J.J. Taylor healthy, who rushed for over 1,400 yards in 2018, and I expect him to even have a bigger year in 2019. Overall, the offense wasn't too bad in 2018, averaging 31.3 points per game, but that doesn't sound as good when the offense averaged 41.3 points per game in 2017. So they took a major drop-off, 10 points exactly, from 2017 to 2018. Hopefully they can get those numbers back up a little bit in 2019, and I would expect that under Kevin Sumlin. Defensively, they returned 8 starters, but they allowed 32.6 points per game last year. So they're really going to have to improve on that side of the ball if they want to get to bowl eligibility. They do return their star linebacker and Colin Schooler, who had 119 tackles last year, the leading tackler for the Wildcats, and they have an experienced secondary. So I expect that 32.6 points per game numbers to go way down, and Arizona will certainly be competing for a spot in the postseason in 2019. They open up, though, against Hawaii, and you notice we don't have that down as a surefire victory. On the road against Hawaii, to me, that's a trap game for any team that has to travel to the islands. This also has the possibility of being a potential shootout against the Rainbow Warriors, as they will boast a very dynamic quarterback as well, and Cole McDonald, who is one of the best quarterbacks in the group of 5 last season, and they also returned 18 starters. So this is not going to be an easy game for Arizona by no means. It's going to be very, very tough for them. But I do think they are able to edge the Rainbow Warriors out and get a key non-conference victory over a tough offensive Hawaii team, and Arizona starts off the season 1-0. But this Hawaii game, in Week 0, I should add, one of 2 games in Week 0, the other, of course, being Florida and Miami, this Hawaii team, this Hawaii game is not one that Arizona can take lightly. They get a win over Northern Arizona, no problem there, and then they face off against Texas Tech, and this one's going to be a fun one. Like Hawaii, I can see this game also being a potential shootout, as Texas Tech should boast another very explosive offense, even though they lose Cliff Kingsbury to the Arizona Cardinals, and they bring in Matt Wells from Utah State. And he's going to really try to change the program at Texas Tech, change up the entire scheme, maybe result more to the run, and you will see, maybe not in 2019, but you will see an improved Texas Tech defense. They bring back Alan Bowman at quarterback, assuming he can also stay healthy. He was battling injuries last season. They had their wide receiver in TJ Vasher. Hopefully he can improve as well. Will probably be Bowman's favorite target in 2019. And they bring Armand Shine, the backup running back and the star running back at Utah last year when Zach Moss went down with an injury. He transfers over to play for the Red Raiders. This game has the opportunity to be a shootout. If it was in Lubbock, I might be picking this game as a big-time signature win for Matt Wells in year 1. But it is at Arizona. It's in Tucson, and I'm going to give the Wildcats a win over the Red Raiders. And they are 3-0 to kick off the year, 2 wins away from matching last year's win total. And if you look at this schedule before we go further, you will notice that Arizona has to take advantage of the earlier part of their schedule, because the second half, where they face 4 teams on the road, is going to be extremely difficult. They get a bye week before they go into their game against UCLA. And last year, the Wildcats fell to the Bruins 31-30. They also played that game without Khalil Tate, so nearly won it without Khalil Tate, even though UCLA just went 3-9 in year 1 under Chip Kelly. This year, with this week of rest under their belt, I do expect them to get the win over the Bruins, especially with this game being at home. UCLA will boast a very experienced team in 2019. 10 returning starters defensively, 9 returning starters on the offensive side of the ball. The numbers will increase on both sides, and UCLA was much more competitive down the stretch towards the end of the season than their 3-9 record indicated. But in the end, the Wildcats get the best of them, especially with the play of Khalil Tate, and they are 4-0 to kick off 2019. But they fall for their first loss of the season on the road against Colorado. And people may criticize this. Arizona won just 42-34 last year over the Buffaloes. They bring in a new head coach in Mel Tucker over from Georgia. And, Colorado is also coming off a bye in this game. I don't expect many big things out of the Buffaloes in 2019. I really don't. But I am very high on their offense, led by Steven Montez, a senior quarterback who has experience. He returns Laviska Shenault at wide receiver, and the defense only returns 4 starters, but Mel Tucker is a defensive-minded coach. So while I don't think the defense will be elite in 2019, they can get there. But with a week of rest, with this game being at home for the Buffaloes, I think they get what could be one of the few wins for Mel Tucker in 2019 over the Wildcats. Arizona falls for their first loss. They're 4-1. They again face off against Washington back at home, where the home team has won 8 of the past 9 between these two squads. It's not going to be the case this year, though. Washington comes on the road and defeats the Wildcats, led by Jacob Eason at quarterback and an elite crew of wide receivers. It will certainly test what I said is an experienced and veteran secondary for the Wildcats. But in the end, Washington and Chris Peterson are just going to be too much. Even though they lose so much on the defensive side of the ball, and while I think this Arizona offense could test that young Washington defense, I think Washington gets the win. They are still legitimate Pac-12 title contenders despite losing so much from last season. Why Arizona falls to the Huskies for their second straight loss. They then face off against USC on the road, and remember I told you, this second half of the schedule is absolutely brutal. They face off against USC, where Arizona lost the Trojans 24-20 last year, and last year they held JT Daniels to just 197 passing yards, so a fairly solid defensive performance for the Wildcats. This year, though, is just not going to be the case. Graham Harrell comes in as offensive coordinator for the Trojans, and JT Daniels is going to really, I think, thrive in that new air raid offense that Harrell is going to try to implement. Clay Helton every single week will be fighting for his job with the Trojans because he is certainly on the hot seat going into 2019 after giving the Trojans their first losing season since 2000. This game's on the road. USC will be much improved in 2019. The Wildcats fall to the Trojans. They then remain on the road against Stanford, another team that's going to be tough and will have another tough passing attack led by KJ Costello. I believe the Cardinals will really rely more on that passing game this year. They had Bryce Love the past 2 years, and although he wasn't like that elite last season like he was in 2017, that threat of him always having a breakout game and a breakout run was still there and was still scary for opposing defenses. This year, all the teams will know that Stanford will rely more on the pass. But even though that's going to be the case, the defenses won't be able to stop it. Arizona falls on the road to Stanford in a dangerous David Shaw team that you can never, ever count out, regardless of how many people they return. But Stanford will have enough. Things will be clicking, especially this late in the season. The Wildcats fall to the Cardinal. And unfortunately, that's 4 straight losses after a 4-0 start. They're sitting at 4-4. But they do return home to face off against Oregon State. And that's very beneficial for them. 3 of their past 4 were going to be on the road. They return home, and then they get a bye week. Oregon State, a team that I think will improve in 2019. At least they will improve statistically, maybe not in the win column. Arizona cannot afford to overlook this game. But last year they went on the road, beat the Beavers 35-14, and J.J. Taylor had a breakout game rushing for 284 yards in that game. I expect him to have another big game against the Beavers this year. Even though their defense will improve, they will step it up. The Wildcats will step it up, and J.J. Taylor has another big game. Khalil Tate adds a couple touchdowns through the air. They beat the Beavers and finally get back in the win column, snapping that 4-game losing streak. They're 5-4, going into a bye week, much needed, going on the road against Oregon, a team that the Wildcats beat 44-15 last year. They held the Ducks to just 270 yards of total offense in 2018. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case in 2019. Not only do they have to go on the road to Oregon, Oregon's going to be so much more improved in 2019. They're talking college football playoff, not just Pac-12 title, but college football playoff. And rightfully so, led by Justin Herbert at quarterback, C.J. Verdell, Juwan Johnson, They're going to be a tough out for any team in the Pac-12. Even though Arizona will be rested, they don't stand a chance against the Ducks. Not this year, not on the road. They fall to Oregon, and they need a win in their final 2 games against Utah and Arizona State to get to the postseason. And that win will come against the Utes. Now hear me out before people begin to criticize. Go back and watch our Utah video and you'll hear the explanation. But every year, over the past couple of years, at least since 2015, Utah has lost a game that they shouldn't. They've lost a game where they are heavily favored or where they're highly ranked, and they fall to a team that they probably shouldn't lose to. That will be this game to Arizona in 2019. The Utes are heavy favorites in the Pac-12 this season. Some are considering them a dark horse college football playoff contender, and I do expect big things out of Kyle Whittingham and the Utes this year. But this is a major trap game out in the desert towards the end of the season. They might be a little high on themselves. This will be the trap game for the Utes. This will be the game that they're not supposed to lose, but they do. And Arizona clinches bowl eligibility with their signature win of the season, much like last year against Oregon was their signature win of the season. And they beat the Utes to clinch a spot in the postseason. Then they go on the road to face off against Arizona State. Of course, revenge on the mind for the Wildcats after blowing that 40-21 lead in 2018 before losing 41-40 and missing out on the bowl game. This will be a tough test for the Wildcats, not only because it's on the road and not only because Arizona State's going to be very improved and very dangerous in 2019, but they're going up against Eno Benjamin, one of the best running backs in the entire Pac-12, who rushed for over 1,600 yards in 2018. With this game being on the road, with Arizona State having too much offensive firepower, in my opinion, this game could be very high scoring, much like it was last year, 41-40. But the Sun Devils get the better of the Wildcats once again in 2019. Arizona falls to their rival, but closes the season with a 6-6 record. If I can get that to write down there. 6-6, ugly 6-6. But it is good enough for the postseason in year 2 under Kevin Sumlin. It is a spot in the postseason after just missing out last season. And I believe that, Arizona boasting so much offense, this is a team that could go anywhere from 6-6 to maybe winning 7 or 8 games if they could pull off an upset or pull off a win against Colorado. And these games against Washington and Stanford and USC are potential wins for them as well if the offense lives up to the hype and kind of gets back to their form like it was in 2017. You never want to count Kevin Sumlin and his offenses out, but I think 6-6 is the most realistic prediction for the Wildcats in 2019. And if I'm a Wildcat fan, that's good enough for me, at least for this season. So guys, as always, thank you for watching us here. Go check us out and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And also go check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our college football spread picks for the 2019 season, including the postseason. And I can promise you that's a deal you cannot afford to pass up. So join our team, sign up today, only at thegridironexpert.com. And guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.